Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025. Today we have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms for much of the Southeast and Appalachian Mountains, primarily for damaging wind. We also have another slight risk of severe thunderstorms for Northeastern New Mexico, also primarily for damaging wind. We have multiple areas of slight risk of excessive rainfall. One of them is portions of the southern high plains associated with their slight risk of severe thunderstorms over here, mainly due to saturated soils. Some thunderstorms will cause some isolated flash flooding there. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for much of the southeast associated with these trending storms down here. And finally, our last portion of slight risk for excessive rainfall is up here near the Allegheny Plateau to the eastern Great Lakes region. We also have some lingering wildfire smoke in the northern to central high plains as well as New England, of course associated with our ongoing wildfires in Canada. And also we have a heat wave peaking in the inner northwest as well as other portions of the inner west and southern basin. Around 10 degrees below average for much of the Midwest due to this cold air mass that is bringing cold air from the north, from Canada down towards this region in the Midwest. Much above average temperatures for the West today, reaching 20 to 30 degrees above average for much of the Northwest. Here was our storm reports yesterday. We had a lot of wind reports and even a few tornado reports here near the eastern coastal plain. But our main event during the afternoon was this wind event that occurred across northern Texas. A lot of hail reports early on as we didn't get that congealment initially, but once those storms congealed into more of bowing segments and a linear segment later on, we got those damaging wind reports all across northern Texas. Here's our current drought monitor map. The solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern with drought. And here are our current watches and warnings. Pretty quiet across the U.S. with patchiness of our warnings. Here we have our excessive heat warnings in the in western Washington and also southwestern Oregon and northern California, as well as the southern basin region. We have isolated flood watches for the northern Allegheny Plateau towards the eastern Great Lakes region, also isolated flash flood warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings here in the southeast. Here is our surface map. We have a large cold front that's currently making its way to the south, but this isn't going to reach that far south as we can see with day 2, but this cold front here is going to be associated with our flooding risk along with this lifting warm front right here, and also our severe thunderstorm threat throughout the day is going to be associated with this cold front. This cold front will make its way towards the east, but struggle to make its way with southern extent. This will be a stationary front over here, which will bring additional flash flooding concerns for areas of western Texas. On day 3, that cold front makes its way off the east coast, but stays stationary in the southern U.S., which will cause a flash flooding threat for central Texas to central to southern Oklahoma. Another cold front is supposed to make its way southeastward a little bit further up north, bringing our temperatures still pretty cool in these areas up here in the northern plains and upper Midwest. Here is our excessive rainfall outlook. As I said, we have 3 portions of the slight risk. Our slight risk for western Texas into eastern New Mexico. This is, of course, due to the saturated soils from our constant flash flooding and thunderstorm threat that we've had throughout the past few days, several days at least. Here we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall in the southeast, which could see up to 3 inches of rain today, mainly due to training convection pretty much all day until the passage of that cold front. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall here in the eastern Great Lakes and Allegheny Plateau up here. This area could see a few inches of rain today. Tomorrow, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall from much of western Texas into southeastern New Mexico. This is, of course, associated again with those saturated soils, especially with northern extent towards the Texas Panhandle. So we could see a few inches of rain with those associated training or slow-moving thunderstorms. Day 3 on Wednesday, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for central to northern Texas towards central to southern Oklahoma. Day 4, that slight risk slowly migrates east as we get a pinching off of those deeper moisture returns into central and eastern Texas and southeastern Oklahoma. Day 5, Friday, a small slight risk, again associated with that remnant moisture and lingering frontal boundary here near the Arklatex region. Here is our day 1 convective outlook. We have 2 regions of slight risk, one much larger one here for most of the southeast up towards the Appalachian Mountains, towards the Allegheny Plateau, and one primarily for northeastern New Mexico out here. Both regions, the primary hazard is damaging winds. The hail and tornado threats are pretty low for both regions. Tomorrow, we have a small slight risk for the Trans-Pecos region in far western Texas. This is the primary hazard will be hail in western Texas today or tomorrow. On day 3, we have patchy marginal risks across the United States, one for southern Texas, one for the portions of the central to northern Great Plains off to the Midwest regions, and one for portions of the northern High Plains, specifically the region of the plains closer to the Rockies, and also towards Idaho, northeastern Nevada, and northern Utah. Here is our heat risk map. Today, heat starts to subside around the southern U.S., but portions of southern Texas and the peninsula of Florida will see heat continuing today. But our main story is our close to record heat over here in the inner west, specifically over here in the Columbia Plateau region. We will have temperatures up well above 100 degrees in these regions, which should break some records up in here near the Columbia Plateau. We also have some heat building over here in the Central California Valley into the Southern Basin. Tomorrow, heat subsides in the Columbia Plateau, but peaks over here in the Southern Basin regions. We should see temperatures reaching up to 110 degrees up here, or at least around 110 degrees in the Southern Basin regions. By Wednesday, most of the heat should subside. We'll see some mild temperatures here in the Midwest, as well as the East, but overall, pretty mild temperatures until the weekend. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, June 14th through 18th. Much above average, or big chance of above average temperatures over here in the western regions of the United States, specifically the Intermountain West towards the central and northern high plains. Below average temperatures for the coastal regions of the Northwest and Northeast. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, above average for much of the southeastern United States, below average for the basin regions of the West. Here is our HREF output. This is where we'll take a look at the timing of our thunderstorms today. As you can see, patchy thunderstorms throughout the day in the southeast, which will contribute to that maximized flash flooding threat down there. But the storms that are sort of oriented in a line throughout the Ohio Valley into the mid-south, that is our cold front, which will push our way towards the east and should reach our slight risk area in this region over here towards the Appalachians, Allegheny, and Eastern Great Lakes. Should reach there pretty early on in the afternoon, possibly at around 2 p.m. Storm should reach that region and then move pretty quickly out of there. So a pretty brief severe weather threat for them up here, for you guys up here in the Appalachians towards the Eastern Great Lakes. Storms will fire along the New Mexico region, along that, I believe that's a dry line over there, around 20Z, which is about 2 to 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and those storms will move towards the east and southeast as time moves on. These storms here in New Mexico are expected to cluster and grow upscale pretty quickly, which will modulate our severe weather threats a little bit, bringing some more damaging winds. Also, don't forget that large hail is also possible associated with these severe storms down there. Those storms will continue off until the evening hours towards the far west Texas. So that is going to be it for today. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe if you want to hear more weather briefings in the future. If you have any constructive criticisms, please leave them down in the comments below. And of course, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service and broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.